Good day, dear students. Herewith we are going to have a first introductory lecture for your Part 2 English. For this semester, we are going to have drama for effective communication. For the last semesters, we had prose for effective communication. Then we had poetry for effective communication. And for this semester, we are going to have drama for effective communication. In this paper, we are going to have an entire drama by Shakespeare titled The Merchant of Venice. Before going into the unit, before going into the syllabus, I want you to know the objectives of this paper. This paper aims at certain objectives which we are aiming to achieve, and we want you also to join hands with us for your self development. The objectives of this paper are to make the students acquire basic language skills like listening, speaking, reading, and writing. This paper doesn't aim at just helping you memorize certain essays, certain paragraphs, and just reproduce it in your examination and get marks. This will not definitely going to help the development of your language skills. You need to pay attention to all these things like listening, speaking, reading, and writing, which will help you out in scoring marks, not just memorizing the things. The paper also aims to develop the ability of the students to write correctly and effectively. By reading this drama, by reading the prose prescribed to you, by reading the poetry, you should enhance your ability to write correctly and effectively. It also aims to make you communicate with the speakers of English fluently. It will aim at the development of the ability of the students write correctly and effectively, as well as develop their intellectual, personal, and professional abilities. The aim of this paper is to make you capable, qualified, intellectual, and professionally fit for this job markets. Though uh, though we come out with a good marks in your major papers, it is the language skills that will take you to the destination, the dreams that you want to achieve. So please give equal importance to your part 2 papers along with the skills. Please train yourselves by giving importance to these skills. And how these objectives can be achieved. Of course, this is going to be a very big question, a very big problem which will be threatening you. But there is a solution for it. I want you to give importance to all these skills like listening. Listen. Whenever you are given a lecture, you should pay full attention to the lecture and listen to it carefully. Then you should go for reading. Not only should you should stop with the listening to the lectures, you should go for the reading of the text by yourself. Similarly, you should put it down in a paper what you have listened, what you have read, to check your language skills, your vocabulary. Then you should speak it up. You should try speaking. You should try imitating whatever you have listened, whatever you have read. This will help you achieve all the objectives of this language paper. So how can we do this? First of all, you should listen carefully to the lectures that are posted to you. You should be very attentive. You should sit in a place which is free from any kind of disturbance and should listen to the lecture posted to you. You should listen to the words and try to picture out what the speaker is saying. I'm very sure that you can understand the words, the language, whatever the speaker or your teacher, your facilitator speaks out, which means what? You have a good vocabulary. You can understand whatever is spoken to you. The problem is you never speak out. So, in order to enhance your speaking skills, your communicative skills, first of all, you should pay attention to your to the lecture and listen to it carefully. You should pay attention to the pronunciation. Listening enhances your pronunciation. Pronunciation is also equally important in a language skill. Without pronunciation, the meaning might get destroyed. So please pay attention to the pronunciation. Then this listening will help in comprehension skills, enhancing comprehension skills. Comprehension is nothing but understanding. In schools, you might have had a question on comprehension. A passage will be given, and questions will be based on that paragraph. It is to check your understanding ability of the language, how far you are able to understand a language, how far you are able to decode a language. Right? So, in order to enhance your comprehension skills, you need to pay much attention through listening. Then we move to reading. This listening and reading are a kind of absorbing skills, a kind of receptive skills, where you receive, where you absorb from others. Reading. This reading skills enhance your vocabulary. You will be introduced to new vocabulary when you read a text. You will be introduced to a new structure, new sentence, which will your mind automatically absorb as a default structure. And whenever you try to speak or whenever you try to write, that structure and that vocabulary would come out. So, in order to enrich, equip yourself with a good vocabulary and language structure, you need to go for reading also. This reading will help you in comprehending a passage. It will help in sentence construction. It will aid your memory and attention. As you go on reading a passage, you have to get back to a certain line or a certain information only with the help of your attention. So this reading enhances your attention memory as well as your vocabulary, comprehension and sentence construction. Then we move to writing. Writing is one of the expressive modes. After listening, after reading, now you slowly move to express yourself, a stage of expressing yourself. First of all, you may start with writing. Writing helps recall the learned structure and vocabulary. It will help you to recall the vocabulary that has been taught to you, that has been spoken to you, what the vocabulary that you have listened. If you had been very attentive and listened carefully, if you had read carefully something, if you had read the book or passage or the poem or the paragraph carefully, definitely it will reflect in your writing. It would help enhance your spelling. Spelling is also equally important in a language. When a spelling goes wrong, sometimes the meaning will completely get destroyed. So we have to be very careful with our spelling. This writing skill also helps in the development of composition skills. Composition. We were talking about comprehension. Now it is composition. Composition is constructing a sentence, constructing a paragraph, right? You compose with the vocabulary that you have learned, you compose a paragraph with the sentence structures that you have learned, and you try to communicate and you try to express the idea that you have. That's what we call as composition skills. In schools, you might have had a composition hour. கம்போசிஷன் அவர்ல என்ன செஞ்சிருப்பீங்க? ஒரு லெட்டர் கம்போஸ் பண்ணியிருந்திருப்பீங்க, ஒரு எஸ்ஸே கம்போஸ் பண்ணியிருந்திருப்பீங்க. Composition involves sentence building with new vocabulary and with a kind of unity and a coherence. Unity and coherence meaning a kind of order, a kind of logical order which will help in understanding the paragraph, right? So this writing skill will help you in recollecting, expressing, spelling skills, composition, and coherence and unity in your expression. And finally, we have put this speaking. But actually, we have to put the speaking skills first or second after listening. listening தொடர்ந்து speaking தான் வரணும். ஆனா English ஒரு foreign language அப்படிங்கிறதுனால we have put the speaking skills at the end. See, imagine how you are very fluent in Tamil, right? Being your mother tongue, you are very fluent in Tamil. How you would have learned this? Did your mother taught you the Tamil grammar? உங்க அம்மா உங்களை உட்கார வச்சு தம்பி இதுதான் பெயர் சொல், இதுதான் உரிச்சொல், இதுதான் வந்து செய்வினை, இது செய்யப்பாட்டு வினை அப்படின்னு எல்லாம் தமிழ்ல சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்களா? No. Then how did you learn Tamil? You learned Tamil by listening to the people who are speaking around you, the environment, right? After listening to the people speaking in Tamil, you started imitating them. அவங்கள போலவே பேசி பார்த்திருப்பீங்க. அம்மா பேசுற மாதிரி, அப்பா பேசுற மாதிரி. You definitely would have committed some mistakes. தவறு செஞ்சிருப்போம். வாங்கன்னு சொல்றதுக்கு வான்னு சொல்லியிருப்போம். அல்லது வான்னு சொல்றதுக்கு போன்னு சொல்லியிருப்போம். Right? Only by doing mistakes we would have learned. So when you had started learning Tamil as a subject, you had gained fluency. தமிழ ஒரு சப்ஜெக்டா படிக்க ஆரம்பிக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னால fluency attain பண்ணிட்டீங்க. How is that possible? It is only by speaking earlier, speaking by imitating. So after listening to the lectures, after reading the texts, after reading the passages or paragraphs or the language, start speaking, start expressing yourself in that language. This speaking can be done with only one magical thing, that is speak, speak, speak. நம்ம வாய் திறந்து பேசாம நமக்கு ஸ்பீக்கிங் ஸ்கில்ஸ் வராது. That's why we call it a skill, right? Without practice we cannot attain mastery over a skill. We cannot learn to swim by reading a book. இருக்கு இன்னைக்கு மார்க்கெட்ல there are so many language tutorials or apps and centers which promise that they'll make you fluent within a month or two. 60 நாட்களில் ஆங்கிலம் பேசலாம். எப்படி ஒரு புக்கு வாங்கிட்டு பேசலாமா? Definitely not. ஒரு புத்தகத்தை படிச்சு எப்படி நீச்சல் அடிக்கிறதுன்னு நம்மளால நீச்சல் அடிக்க கத்துக்க முடியுமா? புத்தகத்துல படிச்சு எப்படி சைக்கிள் ஓட்டுறதுன்னு நம்மளால கத்துக்க முடியுமா? Definitely not. அந்த சைக்கிள்ல ஏறி உட்காராம நம்மளால கத்துக்க முடியாது. தண்ணியில இறங்காம நம்மளால நீச்சல் கத்துக்க முடியாது. Similarly, without opening your mouth, without starting to speak, you cannot have that speaking skills or communicative skills. The thing that stops you from speaking is a kind of fear of maybe going wrong, fear of maybe laughed at by the other people, right? Fear of the lack of vocabulary. No, you have a very good vocabulary. If you can understand whatever I say, if you can understand whatever is that written in this PPT, means you have a vocabulary of around 3000 words. Just try it out. Take out a paper, start listing the words that you know in English. ஒரு பேப்பர் எடுத்து என்னெல்லாம் எனக்கு இங்கிலீஷ் வார்த்தை தெரியும்னு லிஸ்ட் அவுட் பண்ணி பாருங்க. கண்டிப்பா அந்த லிஸ்ட் will not cross 100 words. Right? But if you are able to understand what I speak and able to understand what is written in this PPT, you have a vocabulary of around 3000 plus. So you have the vocabulary. You know what to call the things. You know this is a tree, you know this is a cloud, you know this is a room, you know this is water, this is tap. So you have the vocabulary. The problem is you never speak. Another thing is you have to build them into phrases. ஒரு வார்த்தையா தெரியும், அதை ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரக்சரா, ஒரு கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டா, ஒரு ஃப்ரேஸா உருவாக்குறதுக்கு பழகுங்க. என்ன செய்யலாம் அப்படின்னா, one of the personal ways, if you have fear of being laughed at, getting wrong, you can what you can do is you can speak, record in your phones and then listen to it. If you start doing this, you can trace a drastic development in your communicative skills. Please do this. So whenever you are posted with a lecture, I want you to take down the lecture, take down notes. You listen carefully. அத முதல்ல carefully listen பண்ணுங்க. Repeat and listen to it. Listen to the vocabulary used in it. Listen to the structure used in it. Please do write it down in a note. Have a separate note for part 2 English. என்ன சொல்றாங்களோ அதை எழுதுங்க. If you don't know the spelling, please go for the dictionary and check it out. Repeat பண்ணுங்க. After listening to the lecture, after taking down the notes, try to tell one time, try to uh, uh, tell it out by yourself. Try to express what you have understood. Try to speak out what you know, what you have learned from that lecture. Imagine that someone is sitting before you and you try to explain what the lecture has explained to you. இந்த லெக்சரை கேட்டுட்டு உங்களுக்கு என்ன புரிஞ்சுச்சோ அதை ஒரு தடவை நரேட் பண்ணுங்க. Try narrating the events. Try describing the objects. Right? Then record it in your phone and then listen to whatever you have done. You could find a drastic development. Right? So I want you to listen to the lectures carefully. I want you to write down in a notebook, repeat this, and then speak it or express or try it out for yourself by explaining or narrating or describing whatever you have listened in the lecture. Unless doing all these things, we cannot acquire all the skills, and the objectives of this paper would be a failure. And for this semester, we are going to have William Shakespeare's play called The Merchant of Venice. In the next lecture, you will be given an introduction to this drama, an introduction to Merchant of Venice, and an introduction to William Shakespeare. Following that, you will enter into the text. By the next class, I want you to download the text from this given link and have a copy of it. Though not a hard copy, please do have it in your cell phones and try reading it out. So I hope that you will be ready for the next lecture with a pen and paper and your headphones. I want you to listen carefully, write it down, speak up yourself, record and listen. Without doing all these things, we cannot achieve the we cannot achieve the objectives of the paper. If you have any doubts, any queries, you can post it in the WhatsApp group of your department, and I'll ask the department to forward the doubts that you have, and I'll try clear all your doubts as soon as possible. Thank you.